Welcome to the Nevcast, where three bros talk business, art, justice, and the pursuit of Jesus.
Any day above ground is a good day.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and kiss 30 minutes goodbye with Peter Nevland,
Dave Nevland,
and
Rashid.
Welcome to the Nevcast, everyone. I am not Peter.
I am not Dave.
No, we are smarter, better
Prettier.
looking. Yes, and here we are. We are taking over the Nevcast. I feel like usually when there's a podcast takeover, Amy, it's like somebody famous or interesting, and here we are, two moms and wives, and here we are.
Here we are.
So not famous, but hopefully we will still be as equally entertaining. I don't even know if they're entertaining.
I don't either. You know why? Because I don't watch it.
Well, we're busy doing everything else.
busy being a
Well,
mom.
that's right. You're busy being
And
a mom.
working.
And running a business.
Yes. And all the things.
Yes.
So, got time for
awesome.
that.
Well, I'm excited about this time with you, Amy.
I know. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, you do. All right, so we've got a really great topic for today. And I feel like this is not just for moms out there, not just for women, but I think we're going to cover the gamut of, pregnancy, loss, birth. So if you are a dad, ever thinking about being a dad, if you have a partner, or if you've ever gone through loss, especially with pregnancy, this might be a good episode for you to listen to.
Mm-hmm. So trigger warning, we will be talking about miscarriage.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Any other trigger warnings that we...
Birth, home birth. We may say the word vagina.
We may. A lot.
And bloody show.
And bloody show. If you need to Google that, go ahead and Google it now.
Yes.
So
let's start by talking about your pregnancy journey, Vicki, because it's been a long one, and it's been an awesome one with lots of ups and downs.
Yes, lots of ups and downs.
And Vicki has 3 wonderful children now.
I do, and hopefully we're not done.
Okay.
We'll see.
And I'm excited about this because I feel like your experience runs the gamut of birth experiences, and I feel like you can talk with authority about a lot of these different topics that a lot of women that are just becoming in their child rearing years are gonna have to wrestle with and talk through, and we don't really talk about it enough.
Yes.
So that's why we're gonna talk about it today.
Yes, let's talk about it and normalize it, and hopefully relate to where some listeners might be at right now. So definitely run the gamut. We've been in the hospital, we've been in the birth center, we've been at home. I feel like, done everything. We just haven't had a baby in the car. That might be next.
Have not either.
You haven't either?
No.
Well, maybe you guys need to try for one.
Mm-hmm.
So Kaz, we started out, wanted to do a home birth. That didn't really go as planned. It ended up 59 hours in the hospital. And Amy, you were my doula, and you've been my doula for every single birth that I've had, right? So that's why that's why I can talk to you about this, is because you've been there with 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have had 3 live births, and how many miscarriages, Vicki?
3 and 3.
Yes.
So that's, I'm a mom of 6.
Yes, you are.
To remember that, it's not, I don't just have 3 kids, but 3 who I've never gotten to meet. Yeah. And that's an honor to me to even say that, I have 6 kids. And I do, because it's important to remember the life that your body carried, even if you never got to hold that baby.
That's right.
Or keep the baby. But it's real, and it still happened, even when our society says, well, baby's not a baby until it has a heartbeat, or baby's not a baby until it's born, or whatever other definitions there are right now out there. But if you're pregnant, you're a mom.
You're a mom. So tell us about your first pregnancy.
Yeah. So Kaz, oh gosh. So my first, that would be not Kaz. That would be the one before.
Right.
So his name, I'll start there, is Blaze Shekinah, because we really felt like we were really excited to be pregnant. It's our first, and then 8 weeks into it, I start showing, having some pink discharge. You're a man, that's so weird to say for guys to be here listening to it. But I had no idea what was happening. But a week later we found out we lost the baby, but we really felt like God was saying, this baby was a trailblazer for your next pregnancy and for your next baby. And so to find hope in that was a big thing for me. To feel validated in that was a big thing. You just have like all of these dreams and hopes for children when you get pregnant. And then when you lose your child, like you don't just lose that life, but you lose all the dreams that you ever had for them. Mm-hmm. You lose that relationship that you hope for and long for, down the way. Yeah.
So in looking up our stats for today, what we find is, guess how common miscarriage is?
Gosh. So the last time I heard was about 25% of all women.
It's, depends on what you read, just like most stats, but it's about 1 in 5 detected pregnancies, but 1 in 3 is really the closer number. So there's a lot of miscarriages that just go undetected.
Yeah.
And the longer that you hold this baby in your womb, the more they go detected. Most missed late periods are miscarriages, and women just don't know it, which is super fascinating to me.
Yeah, that is fascinating.
So you were aware of your pregnancy, you were making plans, and it seemed like this, from what I remember, this particular miscarriage also felt like a labor. A lot of women just have stronger, maybe longer periods, and they're like, oh, a late period, and I bled a little bit more. But in your case, it was like, I am laboring, I am crampy for days, and I pass a little, baby.
Yeah. Yes. So it felt like labor. I had no idea what was about to happen. Yeah. And so my care provider had told me once we confirmed with an ultrasound that we were miscarrying. I got to see our little baby, which looked like a little gummy bear, but I was told that it was not, for me, this experience wasn't a very good experience, not just with the miscarriage, but how it was handled by my care provider. And so I was told, well, go back home and wait. If you need to take ibuprofen, take some ibuprofen, and let us know when you pass something the size of a golf ball. That was it.
Which is not uncommon. This is a very common thing to tell women. Yeah. You're either given medication to help speed things along or you're not, and that is the extent of what is told.
Yes.
There is no other prepping for the reality of miscarriage, which can have a very wide range. Yeah. It's very sad.
Yes. And it isn't something you ever prepare yourself for.
Right.
At least I didn't. And I didn't read about it. You don't want to fill your mind with thoughts like that. Your imagination can go so many places when you're pregnant, and that's not something I ever thought I would ever have to deal with. Let's even say that. You don't ever start a pregnancy and think, oh, I might lose this, unless you have a history of loss and of miscarriage. But so I had no idea what to expect, but it was full on labor. I had Peter, so we had planned the next day, after we found out, yes, we were miscarrying, we were going on tour. So we were about to leave the next day for a month to go teach writing workshops, perform, have shows. And we ended up in Dallas, and I was at Peter's parents' house. while he drove out to Wichita Falls to do a couple days of writing workshops, which I was supposed to be with him for. And I didn't go because I was at his parents' house in absolute pain. Like, I had back labor. I mean, it was the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life. And I had no idea.
At your mother-in-law's house.
I had my mother, yes, at my mother-in-law's house, you guys. And she's in the bedroom, and I'm calling Peter by myself, and I'm just like bawling and crying and saying, this hurts so bad. Like, there is never anything to prepare me for this. And he's like, I'm crying, I'm wailing, it's everything, this pain felt so real and palpable and big. And he calls his mom, and his mom comes in the bedroom. And I've always respected her, but at the time I didn't necessarily feel like we were close, right? Like, I want my husband there, and so, and she was so sweet. She just sat with me, and also knowing she had never experienced loss, that was really hard, because here I was feeling like I am less than, of a woman, or less than of a mom, or something's wrong with me, or what happened? Are we going to be able to have kids? And to have somebody there who had never experienced before was super hard. But I knew I needed her there. And she's sitting on the bed next to me as I'm just like curled up in the fetal position, screaming, and just rubbing my back, and stroking my arm, and just really being there with me and being present for me. And I don't remember anything that she said, which was probably a good thing, because that may have meant she didn't say anything. She didn't need to say anything,
She was present.
She was just present.
Yeah.
There with me.
Yeah.
And
just
not
huge.
Right. And not saying, not saying things like, well, this is happening for a reason, or the things that many people will say, just to kind of fill space, or not know what to say, right? And so it wasn't anything of that. Like, she was there present with me. And so so I think I even say to the people listening, like, if you know somebody who's going through a loss, you don't need to say the perfect thing.
Yeah.
You don't need to say anything. You can be present and with them and validate what they are experiencing, that they do, or they did have a life in them, and that your pain is real, and your this loss is real, just to validate that what they're experiencing is heavy, heavy loss, and it is devastating, and you don't need to say, like, well, everything happens for a reason, or you will get pregnant again one day. Like, that is not where that person is mentally or emotionally or physically in that place. It's entering into the dark. It's entering into the ashes. It's entering into the experience of that death with them.
And acknowledging it.
And acknowledging
being
it.
there with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it was really... That was sweet. Even looking back on it now, I haven't told that story in such a long time. But, that was really comforting for me, and it's what the Lord does to us,
Just be present.
Yeah, yeah. And, so, I thought, so I went through that, past the baby. Peter and I did a lot of writing, I wrote letters to Blaze. Really felt like God had said to me, Blaze is going to blaze a trail in your womb for your next baby, and that was sweet of the Lord, like, giving me something that I could hold on to, and so we named him Blaze Shekinah, and that was a healing process for me, writing, hearing God about that baby's life.
And so you wrote letters to that sweet baby. You named the baby. Was there anything else that you did, or that you guys did, to help really grieve and mark this as significant?
Absolutely.
That helped you move forward.
Yes, yes. And I'm hoping as I say this, like it'll be helpful too for people who are currently experiencing this loss. So medical care providers will call what you pass products of conception. For us, it was our child. Yeah. And so we buried our child in this beautiful like blue glazed planter, and now we have at one point, I don't even know how these got there, but it started blooming Easter lilies, which was wild, and now we have rosemary growing in that planter. And so to have that act of like we just that honoring to this child, you know, for us to do this together. And we put it in sand and put it in this beautiful planter, and it has bore life, you know, since then. And it's kind of crazy. This is kind of a side note, but I'll even say to Peter, I just even said this to him last week, like whenever it rains or whenever there's a storm coming or something, and like we're like, okay, did we leave anything outside that we shouldn't have or whatever? Like, are all our kids inside? Like, it's kind of crazy, right? But I just really recently realized that, wow, like I always feel like a piece of me is outside when a storm is coming, or like when I think like, oh, okay, like we're about to get a ton of rain or it's about to be super cold, like, and part of me feels like, wait, something is missing, and just recently I realized, well, I wonder if that's because you know, our planter's outside and our baby is outside, and so I'll just feel like I have this attachment, this still like deep spiritual, you know, attachment to this child who I don't have in my home to hold and comfort and caress and to protect, you know. And so that's interesting. But yes, journaling and having a little ceremony. It was just the two of us, you know, naming our child. I also ordered a sweet, cute little ornament from Etsy with his name on it, and then birth date, and that we hang every year. And I get to tell Kaz and Pax about their older brother, and so,
I'm sure for Peter too, like a lot of times the partner really gets left out of this process. They're just not involved at all. And there is some grieving that the partner has to do. Yeah. And so I'm sure for him, this was a really important part of closure for an event that he wasn't even there for. Which was probably pretty difficult. So I like that y'all did it together.
Yes, we did do it together. And we talk about our babies whom we have lost, not just Blaze, but the two that we experienced last year in 2020 in the middle of COVID. 2020 was so hard, like on so many levels for everyone. Yeah, you know. But we talk about their lives, you know, and I look forward to the day where we're going to be reunited in heaven with our 6 kids. I'm like, that's like my dream, you know, having all of these babies around me and these children around me.
Did you guys end up naming the other 2 that you lost in 2020?
So, we named one of them Joy. Now, we don't know if those 2 were a boy or a girl, but Peter felt God speak really clearly to him about the child who we lost the beginning of last year. This child, just Joy, just marked this child. And even though we never got to meet this little baby, you know, and so we named that baby Joy. We haven't named the other one, so I don't know if we will, you know, that for some I don't believe that you have to for every child you lose. Now, it was helpful for us for our first loss. But with last year, and I don't even, so Joy, and Joy wasn't necessarily a name that we would have picked like for that child, unless we really felt strongly, and Peter did. And so I let him, you know, not I, we just, he had a name, I didn't. So we named that one Joy, but and so, gosh, you know, it was weird. It was weird last year, Amy, to think I have lost more children than I have in my home. that we have kept.
Yeah.
That was hard. And then we got pregnant with Goldie.
Yes.
Last year.
Yes.
And gosh, she is just, we call her Angel Baby. She's so amazing and perfect on every level, Amy. I mean, not to just brag on my child, but literally I can put her down. I don't even know if I want to say this. This might be a trigger warning for some parents. I can literally put her down in her bed awake. She looks at me and smiles. And I say, okay, have a good nap. Okay, have a good nap. And she's like, looks at me and smiles. And I leave the room and she just falls asleep.
And
like none of my other children did that.
How old is she?
So now she is almost 4 months. So she's 3.5 months. She'll be 4 months.
This is a trigger warning. I feel like I'm triggered right now.
You are?
Do you know how my kids did not sleep through the night until they were like 8 months old?
Yes,
I
feel like that's normal.
10-year-old sleeping in my bed.
Yeah, you know,
okay, so
every
like,
child is so different. Like
it's true. I'm
I only
happy
have
for you.
3, right?
I'm genuinely happy.
Thank
for
you. But I know enough now,
I am
having had 2 before.
Yes.
This is not normal. Like this is not. Maybe this is just God's gift for us.
It
and,
is.
You know, I'll take it. But she is wonderful. And so if you want to talk about like the journey of Goldie's pregnancy and birth and touching on, we had her at a birth center. So we talk about that experience.
So with Kaz, how many months was it after your first miscarriage that you then got pregnant with Kaz?
Great question. I believe it was, so we lost that baby November 4th, 2014. And then got pregnant with him. I found out, I think it was March 31st, 2015.
Okay.
So,
and then
November
his
and
birth,
March.
you had planned a home birth.
Yes.
Went into labor normally, naturally on your own, and then we labored together.
We labored together
for days and days, and then I said, "Okay,
literally
Vicky,
days."
literally
days. Like I thought we would just have a home birth and we'll pop this baby out. My body was made to do this.
On the third day, I said, "Okay, Vicky, you can have your baby any day."
On the third day.
But you can't have your baby on this day at this time because my brother's getting married.
Yes, that's right. And I waited for you. This baby waited for you.
Until
kind of
my brother's wedding.
Until your brother's wedding. That's right. And then you left.
Yes,
that's
so,
right. I forgot.
And then
it's all coming back to me now.
Went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Got a happy epidural, slept for 2 hours, woke up and pushed your baby out so fast it splashed amniotic fluid everywhere.
Everywhere. It was quite funny from what I hear. Yes.
So that was actually a pretty good hospital experience, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I slept like the whole time.
Yeah.
I went in there and apparently, now I don't remember like all of this. I feel like I was so tired by this point, but I was saying, looking at people and saying, do you have my epidural? Do you have epidural?
That's the only word I can say now.
That was what I was like, if I'm going to the hospital, I'm having an epidural.
This is why I'm
and
here.
it was amazing. And it was amazing. So I didn't set out to do that, but I am a proponent of it. If that is what you want, if that's what you feel like you need at any point of your pregnancy or birth or labor, then you get your epidural, girl. Like, do it. It was wonderful because I slept.
Yeah.
They gave it to me and I slept, and it worked for me.
And the interesting thing is, the most common reason for transfer from a home birth or a hospital birth is for an epidural. Is just failure to progress.
Right.
Therefore, we must go to the hospital and get therapeutic rest.
That's right. And so I got Pitocin.
Yeah.
And then an epidural.
Nothing scary happened.
Nothing
but
scary
we just
happened.
need that.
And I mean, I fell asleep. They gave it to me. I was like, oh, thankfully I fell asleep. And the next thing I remember, Amy, the doctor came in to check me. I was like, oh, there's his head. And she's like, you're ready to push. I'm like, all right, I feel great. I just woke up from a nap. It was awesome. And I pushed, I think, for maybe, you weren't there, so you probably don't remember, but I think it was like 13 minutes. Thank God, you guys, because by this time I was in hour 59 of labor.
Yeah.
59.
Okay.
59.
Okay.
Get the baby out of me.
Trigger warning. 59 hours of labor.
Yeah.
Okay. So then PAX.
So it was a great hospital experience.
Great hospital experience. So with PAX, second kiddo boy, you decided to plan a
Birth
birth
center
center birth
That
is connected and associated with the hospital.
That's right. Yes.
And it was, glory be, not 59 hours. It was it 24 hours?
I don't know. I've had a kid since then.
I feel like it was 24
Another
hours
kid.
long, which was
yeah.
longer than what we thought the second birth would be, but it wasn't 59 hours.
It wasn't 59 hours. Yes,
Yeah.
it was about 24 hours.
Yeah.
23,
And
24.
you had a successful vaginal delivery there at the birth center.
I did without an epidural, and I, for the first time, felt what it was like to push a full-size baby out of me, and it hurt.
So pros and cons
So it hurt.
with the birth center birth. You would say pros.
It was, I loved it. It was awesome not to be hooked up to a lot of wires and monitors.
You got to use the
I
tub.
got to use the tub, which was wonderful. Especially at the end of my pregnancies, I feel like, getting in the water, it just relieves so much pressure. You just feel so uncomfortable. So being in the water was wonderful, laboring there. But I had to get in and out because of them checking me, my midwife checking me. So
Yeah. And then cons. You
no epidural.
didn't have the epidural.
If I could have gotten the epidural at the birth center, I would have done that.
And
I would have
then
done that.
you-
But I wanted to be,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be close to the hospital too,
Right.
because I knew the reality of, okay, so I failed to progress with the first, so this could possibly happen next time, and I didn't want to drive 20 minutes downtown to the hospital, so like across the street sounds a lot better, but I still wanted to there's a part of me that wanted to know if I could do this.
Yeah.
Can I have and labor and birth a full-size baby without any intervention? I want to do it. Like, let's do it, body. Let's see what you can do.
So for you,
know?
your internal motivation was, can I do this?
Yes.
Now, I've heard some nursing staff say, you don't have to be a hero.
No.
This
And
is
I wasn't
what-
trying to be.
This is what, God gave us medicine for or whatever. But
Totally.
this is not your internal motivation. Like, I'm not trying to be a hero. I just want to see if I can do this.
That's exactly right.
Just see what my body's
That's
made
right.
of. Okay.
I'm not going to go run a marathon. I
Right.
know that. I hate running, right? But if I have to get this baby out of me, let's see how far we can go here,
Yeah.
And yeah. And I remember like just my bottom being on the bed, Amy, and just my half of my body like being off of me and like grabbing onto you and just screaming my brains out. And here comes, a baby, boop.
Yes.
And at that point, I didn't care if I tore or what happened to me. I don't care. I felt like, your body gets pushed and your mind gets pushed to its absolute limit. And then you have this amazing, beautiful life. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just did that.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I walked out of there thinking, I'm getting my epidural next time. Like, I had both at that point, and epidural all the way.
But
then
you didn't.
I
Because
didn't.
with this last birth, again, you chose a birth center birth.
I chose a birth center. What was I
The
thinking?
thing with choosing a birth center birth is epidurals are totally off the table.
They're
it's
off the
like
table.
saying, I am dieting and I will not live next to Tiff's treats.
Yeah,
Because
Tiff's
you're
treats
setting
are
yourself
so
up
good,
for
Amy.
success. You have to set yourself
Yes.
up. Like, look,
Yes.
if there's a cookie on the table, are you going to take said cookie? Probably. Yeah, because cookies are yummy.
Yes, that's right.
So
Yeah.
why did you choose the birth center this time?
I forgot how incredibly painful this is. And right after Goldie's birth, I remember thinking, I'm getting my epidural next time. That's it. Like, you're not going to be able to talk me into anything else, So we decided to go with the birth center because, I got to that point where I was like, if I did it once, I can do it again. So you kind of get hooked. It's just crazy.
Like
We have
a
a
tattoo.
friend
Like
who,
tattoos?
like
You
a,
get one, you have to
you
get
just
another
have to
one?
get it's something like that. It's just like this weird, crazy. We have a friend, a good friend who's like a birth junkie, right? And I wouldn't call myself a birth junkie, but I do understand that feeling of like it's a rush. There's a rush, and it's like if I got to get this baby out, and I've done it both before. Of course, I want my epidural, but can I do it again? It's like you always. It's like that next. It really feels like it's just. Can I do it again? Like, is this? I gotta try.
Yeah,
gotta
this
try.
is your triathlon.
This is my triathlon. Yeah. So we started out at the birth center, and that again, the one that that was connected to the hospital. Like there's a dual practice of midwives and doctors, and I really like that. And having a history of loss and miscarriage, I take my prenatal care very seriously. And so to me, it almost felt like the best of both worlds. I was under the care of this midwifery practice who consulted with medical OB-GYNs, right? They're all medical professionals, but OB-GYNs, MDs. And to me, that was like best of both worlds, you know? And because I, there's this in the back of your head, with loss, we never really found out why. And that makes the grieving process hard. That makes the going forward hard, right? But I just didn't know what was wrong, right? And we never got tested to see. We didn't have any panels to see if there was any abnormalities like in the baby's DNA or anything. But so I wanted the best care I could get. And so to me, that was
Integrated care.
Integrated care. Right. That's exactly right. I read this book, Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. Amy.
Yeah, I love it.
It's awesome, right? Yep. And so to have the perspective of the midwife and hearing birth stories, non-hospital birth stories, it felt like it just opened this world up of like, wow, there's great perspective. And when you get a midwife who has been to countless births, there's just something that comes with the experience that they have that I knew I could benefit from. Yeah.
So you chose this birth center.
So I chose this birth center.
And then sadly, we'll blame COVID.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, there were some bottom line number issues with the birth center and it had to close down, which bummed the whole community out.
Yeah. 2.5 hours. No, sorry, 2.5 months. Not hours. 2.5 months before Goldie was born.
So you had to make a big switch. You either had to choose, I will have a hospital birth and maybe have an epidural on the table, or I will choose a birth center, like probably 2 miles away from the hospital. It literally is 2 miles.
Right down the road. Yeah.
So you chose the birth center down the road. Why did you do that?
Great question. So the midwife who caught Pax, my second, at the birth center, so it's my second birth, my second child right now, second living child, maybe say. So the midwife who caught Pax started working at this other birth center. So that's why I went there.
Continuity of care.
Continuity of care. All these like amazing terms, Amy. Yes, continuity of care. I loved her. She was awesome.
Right.
I had such a wonderful experience with Pax at the birth center and that was actually, she was a big reason why I went back to the same birth center anyway. Right. The integrated care, dual practice, and her. I was like, I want her to catch my baby again.
Yeah.
But they're all on call, so you can't really request a certain midwife. But she was a rock star, and I absolutely loved her. So I found out where she went. I tried figuring out where is she, and thankfully she was at a birth center not too far away from the original one the one that I had Pax at. So I visited there. You went with me. We toured. Now, I didn't like the fact that it was a little further away from the hospital. That was stretching for me. But it was either, at this point, it was a hospital birth with the hospital that was connected to the birth center, right? The birth center that just closed down 2.5 months before Goldie was born, or this one. And I really loved that midwife who I was with for Pax's birth. So I decided to give this a go. The second birth center go. Yeah.
So we switched care. They amazingly had space. for you. They accepted you. And then
I reached out to that midwife.
You started your prenatal care there. And then we started praying for a 4-hour birth.
Yes.
Versus 24 hours or 59 hours. We're like, okay, God, if we're going to do this, let's let it be 4 hours.
Yes.
Long enough to enjoy it and short enough to be like, I'm done.
Yes. So, gosh, our birth. Okay, we're talking about the birth. We're going to birth story now, right? Goldie's birth story. So that is what was so interesting is I went to one of my prenatal appointments. I think it was 2 weeks before Goldie was born. And I was talking to the midwife there, and she was checking me. We were talking about my past births. She had been, I don't know how many births she has been to, but
let's say thousands.
Yes. She knew what she was doing, and she's like, if I were to guess, and I was so completely floored that she said that. She said, if I were to guess, you're on your third pregnancy. It's a wild card, which, everyone kind of says, like, your third birth is a wild card. You don't know which way it's going to go. She said, I bet you're probably going to have about a 4-hour active labor. I was like, I like the sound of that. All right. So I started praying into that. And then that same day, like, I left for that appointment and I called you and I was like, listen to what the midwife said. And you were like, that's what I've been praying for, Vicki. I've been praying for you to have a 4-hour. I was like,
yes.
I didn't know that. I had no idea, no clue. I was like, all right, let's do it. Yes. So, so I make it. So her due date was June 15th, and it also ended up being the date of her birth. And so June 14th comes, and my mom is in town to
is that
help.
Flag Day?
14, yes, June 14th is Flag Day, yes. And
just so y'all know.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, if this child's not here by June 14th, I asked my mom, can Peter and I get away for a night, go to a hotel, relax, get in a pool.
This baby out is what you're saying. Yes, I understand.
And like, get this going,
I'm picking up what you're putting out.
Sure. Just kidding. And so we at 3 a.m. So she said yes. So we go hotel, swimming. It was a great evening. And 3 a.m. I wake up. Yes. With contractions, like very mild. It feels like cramping, but mild contractions. And every time I've gone into labor, it has been between the 2 and 4 o'clock hour in the morning. Isn't that wild? So 3 a.m. I wake up and I'm like, all right, it's starting, baby. We're having a baby today. At least that's what I'm hoping. And so we get up, we enjoy breakfast. I'm so excited to finally, be just in this pre-labor state. I was ready. Now, I was ready for like weeks leading up to that. This is my first pregnancy where I felt like, get this baby out of me now. Like, are we there yet? I thought she was going to come early with how my body felt. She didn't, but I was so ready. I was like, we're not going past the due date. Please, God, please. And both my boys were born between 2 and 5 days before my due date. So before their due date. So I was just hoping for that. Anyway, go to breakfast. I call you. It feels like I'm in pre-labor. They never really stop. But I'm walking around. I'm having a good time. I'm like, we're having a baby. I take Kaz, or we meet Kaz at his swim teen lesson thing, and I had a prenatal appointment that day, and she checks me and womp womp. You were with me that day, and I think it was only 4 centimeters.
Don't say only and 4 in the same sentence. You bitch. I'm just kidding.
I
So
wanted to get this baby out today.
You weren't you hadn't made, the bottom line was you're pre-crampy. This is not like active labor that we're talking
it's not
about.
active labor.
This is like warm-up type of like period type, small period type crampies. Okay. And then so you're hoping, I made more progress from last week when I get a cervical check to this week, today.
Yes.
I hope my cervix made progress from my little baby cramps that I had from 3 a.m. to when I got my prenatal visit at, lunchtime or whatever. And you probably had gotten softer, more effaced, but you hadn't made more dilation. So you're sad about that.
I was so sad because she said,
you're
go
like,
home. I'm like, I got my bag in the car, lady.
You're like, I'm ready to have this baby.
Yeah, we need to admit me to this birth center. We're getting it out. Whatever
That's
you need to do.
She's so sweet. I love that midwife. So we decide to go to Whole Foods instead and walk around. And I make you walk around Whole Foods.
Yes.
And luckily, while we're walking around Whole Foods, you started stopping and breathing a little bit heavier, getting a little bit more internal, which is a great sign that things are getting a little bit more active.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, Vicki, like I can go with you to your house, and you're like, I just want to go home and snuggle my boys. So you go home, snuggle your boys. Yeah. I go home, have dinner with my family, and then you call me back around 6 p.m.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so 6 p.m. I go over, and you are in what I would call, I've been doing this 11 years, I'm kind of an expert, no big deal. I would call this more active labor from what you were doing at Whole Foods. Okay, so this is different. You were moaning, things were consistent, consistently intense. This is active labor. Let's start that clock at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, so the sweet, fun, crazy thing about Peter and Vicki is they have this understanding that Peter has to leave the room when Vicki is laboring.
Yes.
Because
it is better for everyone.
it's better for everyone in their marriage for him to just be gone.
That's right.
So I drive Vicki to the birth center, and Peter just follows behind. Sweet thing, carrying everything.
Like if I were to choose, like if somebody said to me, you only have to have one person at your birth, it would be you. It would be you. And Peter's great and gracious and understanding. And it's so interesting.
He's
going to
be the whole rest of that.
Yeah.
The whole rest of that child's life.
We didn't know that until Kaz's birth, where I was like, can you, I got to the point where can you please leave? And I felt bad, right? And then Pax's birth, it happened again. And by this birth, I was just like, honey.
We know. Just go.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know.
I know. They'll let me know.
He's so sweet. So he leaves and he sits in his other room, like old time, like 1970s, like dad, go sit in the waiting room, smoke a cigar. We'll call you when we're ready. So lo and behold, you are making so much progress when we get there. We get there at 8 p.m.
Yes.
The midwife you had wanted had just gotten on call. And you were making a lot of progress.
Yes.
We had enough time to check you in and fill up that big old birth tub.
Yes. And it was 100 degrees.
Which is
so they got it to
100 degrees.
As hot as they could.
You sat down in there and you start pushing your baby out.
No. I don't know if it happened that fast, Amy. Did it happen that fast? So, what was amazing, I really want to note this, was because, so you have, at the birth center, there are lots of midwives, right? And I don't know, let's say, I don't know how many right now, but let's say there are 10. And you get to meet all of them. And, naturally, there are a few that you connect with or that you would prefer over the others. And so I had about 3 that I was really okay, I would love one of these midwives. And one of those 3, Amy, went on call at 8 p.m. At 8 p.m. that day. They were transitioning. It was kind of like changing of the guards, right? Yeah. And that's when we get to the birth center. It just so happened we pulled up at 8 p.m.
Yeah, it was perfect. Perfect timing.
Yes, that's right. So they were like, let's get you in the tub. So I get in the tub, right? And I had, throughout this pregnancy, we actually read this book twice. Supernatural Childbirth by Jackie Mize, right? I don't know if you're familiar with this one, but it's very interesting. And so she comes from the place of I experienced pain-free labor. If that's possible, then I'm going to pray for it, right? We're just going to pray. We can just ask whatever you want to ask, when you're praying. I did not experience that. So you win some, you lose some, right?
Right.
But, we read it twice, but it really did help me focus and get in the mindset where I can, think of what's going through my body as not necessarily, I wanted to go into it with it's not painful, Vicki, it's just pressure, right? Yeah, no, that didn't really work. But I knew whatever happened, I still wanted to be in the mindset of like, okay, I am going to breathe through each and every one of these contractions, no matter how much it hurts. If I need to moan and make whatever kind of noises to help my body push this baby down and get through it, right? No matter how long, because I knew it could take, just 4 hours, or it could take longer, right? We were hoping for 4 hours. And so being in that tub, oh gosh, it felt so good. I was so thankful. I remember looking at the clock, Amy, and by that time it was like 9 p.m. And my prayer this whole day too was like, let this baby be born before midnight, right? Yeah. We were hoping for a 4-hour labor, but June 15th, like, I don't want this to go past midnight. I looked at the clock and I was like, heck no. We are not going past 10.
Yeah.
And so I started praying. I don't know if you do that, but I'm like, in the middle of these contractions, between contractions, I'm like, God, please, 10 o'clock, come on. Like, it's 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I can't do this any longer. And, and I know epidural's not on the table. And so now there are some really cool things that happened while I was in the tub. So she checks me, and I remember the midwife saying, okay, now part of your cervix is still covering the baby's head, so obstructing the baby from dropping, right? And she's like, so I can let you labor and let your body do the work a little bit more, or I can try to put my hand in there and try to move it out of the way. And I'm thinking by this time, like, there's so much pain, Amy. And she had these little itty bitty hands. I was like, you got to do whatever you got to do. This means, like, if you do it and the baby comes out like quicker, let's do it. And so she's like, now I don't know if it's going to work, so sweet, soft voice. And I was like, I don't need to do it. Right. And so she inserts her hand, and sure enough, Amy, she moves my cervix out of the way. Like, I didn't even know that was possible. I'm like, why didn't we do that when I was 4 centimeters? You just move it out of the way.
I know,
Let's
you can't do
move
that.
it out of the way.
Yeah.
But
You
I mean,
said a tiny little bit, and she's
idea.
just helping you out just a little bit. And this is also your third baby, so your cervix is very pliable at this point in general anyway. And then on top of that, you are like, what that means is let's say you're 9.5 centimeters. I mean, you just have a tiny little bit that can just be moved over with a little hand. She just didn't want you to push on a cervix that maybe wasn't ready. And if it is easy to manipulate, then it is ready to go.
Oh, I was so thankful it was easy to manipulate. What happened next, Amy? This was my first time ever experiencing this, and this is so noteworthy to me. So if we get anything else on this podcast, I want to remember this. So right after she does that, maybe a couple minutes, I remember being in the tub on my knees, and my arms are over the side of the tub. And I think you were the one who told me, if you feel the urge to push, just start pushing, right? And so I was feeling like, okay, the urge to push. So I just started pushing into the contraction as I'm breathing and probably moaning so incredibly loud and deeply. And all of a sudden I feel Goldie's head drop, and my water breaks. And I was like, that was so cool. It kind of felt like, this is such a weird analogy, but you ever like play video games? And this is, literally like 1990s video games, so they're probably cooler now. But where you've got like the trucks and you're doing off-road racing, and you can like hit the nitro button, and as soon as you do the nitro button, you're like, right? That's what it felt. That's what it felt like coming out of my vagina. Like, it was the coolest thing. I did not experience that with my other 2 births. But there was like, you guys were like, oh, your water just broke. And I was like, I feel the baby's head. Like, it was so cool.
And we were like, oh, shoot, Peter. He's in the other room. Peter. We forgot all about that boy.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And just a note for that. Like, Peter's so incredibly gracious.
Yeah.
And it's more of me. Like, it's easier for me to focus with less people in the room. And I knew the midwife had to be there, the assistant had to be there, and my doula had to be there.
Yeah.
And that's already 3. And so if I can minimize distraction, for me in labor, that is huge. That's a total game changer. The music is really important to me. Sound is really important to me. And just minimizing distractions and being able to focus.
So he made it in time.
But so he came back, he made it in time. And then I don't know what happened after that.
He came in and you pushed your sweet baby girl out.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
I remember
you pushed.
you guys were
really,
like, you gotta
really
get your
well.
bottom down, bottom down, bottom down. I remember hearing that. So I turn over, right? And I think I was
So
just
when
so
you're having
excited to-
when you're having a water birth, you really need to make sure that the baby stays under the water the whole time or out of the water the whole time. You can't do halvesies.
Yeah.
So you don't want to dunk your baby and lift up your baby and dunk
Right.
your baby, okay? Because what triggers that breathing reflex is any time the baby's cheek hits the air, anytime there's an O2 interplay between the baby and the air, okay, they're going to breathe. So if you can keep the baby under the water, that inhibits their breathing reflex, for a few seconds, let's say. So basically, we're just get your butt down.
Yeah.
So you turned over.
Yes.
And pushed your sweet baby girl out in all her glory. She has golden blonde hair. That's her name, Goldie. I don't know, but were you going to name your baby Goldie anyway? Well, she had golden blonde hair, which that's very apropos. Works out really well. And you got to do skin to skin in the tub. You're in this big warm tub doing skin to skin. And that's, I feel like, the beauty of a birth center birth is being able to not just have a water birth and use water for comfort, but then being able to do skin to skin right away in the tub, delayed cord clamping, whatever. That's easy to do. And then the whole time, though, you're still being monitored with a Doppler by the birth assistant. Like, it's not like there's any unsafeness going on. Like, they're still charting, baby still looks good. And then we're able to get you up into this giant king-size bed, which they have, which is also the benefit of the birth center.
It was awesome. I got to stay in the tub, and she actually, but I was surprised her hair was darker than I thought it would be, though. And
well, it's wet.
It was, and I was just like, that's so.
It's just dark when it's wet.
It's just dark when it's wet. But so we, there was something that I remembered.
Oh, guess what time it was when she was born?
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. 10:17.
That's right.
She came out 10:17. It was great. It's like
4 hours.
little over 4 hours of active labor.
I love
which
it.
was just amazing. And I didn't plan on doing a water birth. That was not in the plan. So it's so interesting. I've got these beautiful birth stories that are beautiful in and of their own right, but they're not beautiful because they were part of my plan. They're not beautiful because you stuck to your plan. They're beautiful because it's a part of your story and a part of their story, right? And I could not believe I was able to birth her in the water. I didn't even read anything about that. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about birthing babies in the water. And she was. And then I just remember thinking, like, is she okay? Is she okay? Is everything okay? Like, it just felt, I just wanted to make sure, you just go through this like rush of an experience. I felt like my body was literally being pushed up into like its limit. And at that point, I don't care if I tear or I just rip in half or whatever, Yeah. And, but yeah, she came out. I did feel like I was on fire. I will say that.
So even though you're in the tub, you're saying anecdotally, it did not diminish the ring of fire.
No,
okay.
No, it didn't.
Good to know.
But it helps relieve the pressure of carrying a big old belly.
Got it.
And it helped me float. Like,
which is huge.
Which yes. So it relieves tension. Maybe I should say.
You were floating in a big tub, making very whale-like noises. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's very. It just it's like this primate. This very. I felt like a primate. Weird to say.
Okay, make the noise that you're making. Do it.
Very. You want me to do it?
Yeah, do it.
If you need to do this, I'm doing this for just people. Maybe it could help somebody. But
or maybe you could say like, "Out of me, baby."
Yeah.
Open sesame.
It really does.
Very low. Yeah.
It really does help. And I remember, my massage therapist that I tried to visit. Like once a month. at the end of my pregnancy, I felt like that was helpful because even with being worked, like, if pain, so somebody's like pushing at your muscles and pain, you've got a knot, like practicing my breathing during massage was really, really helpful. And she is actually the one who told me, the deeper the voice that you can make, the deeper the sound that you can make with your vocal cords, really helps just with the pushing out of your baby. It's just how your body works, which was interesting.
Ina May Gaskin calls that the sphincter rule.
The sphincter rule.
When this sphincter is open, then that sphincter is open.
That's right. Yes, exactly. And so, working with my body to push out this beautiful Goldie Elizabeth Rose.
No.
What a wonderful experience. Peter did make it in time, thankfully, and got to see me pushing the baby out. I think she was almost out. Like, just had started coming out when he came in the room, but it was great, and I was safe. I never felt like I wasn't being taken care of.
I love it.
Yeah, and thank you for being there, Amy.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I would love to talk more about this. So if anybody hears this, is listening, and you have questions, I am no expert whatsoever, right? But if you're thinking about birth center or hospital, or you just had a miscarriage and you want to make sure that you're, receiving the best prenatal care, or you just want to even walk through that or talk to somebody about it, please, I'd love for people to, reach out to me or to Peter, or we love to journey through people with that. We hate that it happens, right? We don't love that it happens, but we love to be there for people who've experienced loss like this.
And talking about it.
And
needs to be made normal.
That's right. Yep. And you need to grieve and go through that process.
Thank you, Vicki, for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being, hopefully, take over.
Are you ready for your wine?
I
Just kidding. It's water.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us on the Nevcast. And
see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.
That's it for the Nevcast this time. Join us next week when we talk justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. We will see you soon.